A pleasant day to everyone. For this lesson, I am going to discuss about the consumer behavior and also the market segmentation, targeting, and the positioning. And in the end of this lesson is that you student can understand the nature, the role, the scope, and the importance of marketing. And also, you can gain insight on the behavior of a consumers, and you can definitely understand some of the basic concepts, principles, practices, and functions that govern marketing opportunities. And you student will appreciate the values of marketing in our economic development and uphold Filipino values in practice of marketing. Now, what is consumer behavior? So once we talk about consumers behavior, this is the process through which buyers make purchase decisions. So kailan sila bibili, paano sila bibili, ano yung mga kino-consider nila on buying a certain product or purchasing a certain services. Now, this is also need to have an effort to understand why and how the consumers make buying decision. So a lot of marketers there are definitely borrow some of the informations or idea came from the sciences, like for example the psychology and even the sociology. So now let's talk about some of the influences on how a consumers buy a certain product or availing a certain services. First is we have here the interpersonal influence. Now, in interpersonal influences, we have here the three influence, which are the cultural, social, and also the family influence. First is the culture. So once we talk about culture, this is how a certain individual value a certain product. So dahil bina-value yung product na ito time to time, okay, ito at ito yung binibili ni consumers, and even the beliefs. So, even the preferences and the taste handed down from one generation to the next. So, dahil ito yung produktong ginagamit ng mga kaninunuan mo o yung nanay mo, tatay mo, tita, tito, ganyan. So, definitely, this is also one of the influence no, na nagkakaroon tayo ng decision behavior in terms of buying. Next is the family. So, in family influence, this is definitely the family group is perhaps the most important determinant of consumer behavior because they are close no, to each other. So, continuing interaction among family members. So, dito nagkakaroon tayo ng mga referrals of experiencing a certain good. So, sinasabi natin or nag-ask tayo ng permission no, to buy this kind of stuffs. Lalo na po kapag yung gusto natin pabili mahal. So, we did about the consultation, about how much it is it okay, blah, blah, blah. Because they are the one who definitely close to you. So, by means of giving advice no came from them, yun, nagkakaroon tayo ng decision on buying a certain products. Next is we have social. So once we talk about social, this is definitely society that we are belong to. In terms of social, this is a lot of behavior that can influence you because this society have diverse. Ibig sabihin, paiba-iba, maraming katangian, no? Yung mga kinabibilangan natin. So, the chance in behavior that one person causes in another, intentionally or unintentionally as a result of the way the chance person perceive themselves in relation to the influencer. So, other people and society in general. So, isa-isahin natin. First is the reference group. So, once we talk about reference group, these are the people or institution choose opinion or value and whom person looks for guidance in his own behavior, like for example, values and conduct, and also sa familia, ayan, yung mga mag-asawa, yung mga magkakaibigan, or we are influenced also by the celebrities. And also, we have the social class. So, once we talk about social class, this is the family characteristics such as the occupations or the income of one or both parents have been the primary influences in the social class. And then, another last is the opinion leaders. So, in opinion leaders, this is a trendsetters who purchase new products before others in a group and then influence others in their purchases. Okay, so again, nagkakaroon tayo ng referral. Next is the personal influences. In personal influences, yan, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things to understand. First is the needs and motivation. Second is the perceptions. Third is the attitude. So under attitude, we have the cognitive and effective, and also learning. And for the last is the self-concept. So once we talk about needs and motives, dito binabalanse natin kung ito po bang produkto nito ay kailangan talaga natin. Saan ba natin ito gagamitin? Ito po ba ay magkakaroon ng kapakinabangan, no, sa atin? In needs, no, we need to imbalance between the consumer actual and desired state. So motives is the inner state that desires a person towards the goals of satisfying a need. So dahil ito ay kailangan niya, so automatically a certain person nagkakaroon siya ng motivation to buy. Okay, kasi nga kailangan niya yung product. And also we have the perception. So in perceptions naman, this is the person attributes of incoming stimuli gathered through the 5 senses. So, for example, yung sight, hearing, touch, taste, and smell. So ano yung tingin niya sa product na ito? So somehow kasi napakaganda, no, ng mga ginagawa ng mga marketing team natin para ma-appreciate, no, ng mga consumer yung produkto na binibenta sa market. Example, you are just looking in the billboard na let's say someone or influencer advertise a certain perfume. So dito pala makikita mo na kaagad na ay parang ang bango nito. So doon meron ka na kaagad perception. So in that perception, you can also have an influence to buy this kind of product. And also the third one is the attitude. So in here, persons enduring favorable or unfavorable evaluations, emotions, or action tendencies towards some object or data. So, pag sinabi kasing attitude, in having this kind of product, syempre meron kang magiging emosyon yan kapag ka ikaw ay bumibili ng produkto. It's either gusto mo ba yung product na ito or hindi mo bet kasi yung preference mo ay hindi tutugma dito. So, dito ngayon nagpo-fall yung tinatawag na attitudes. Now, in attitude, we have the cognitive and effective. So, pag sinabi natin cognitive, this is the individual's information and knowledge about and the idea or concept before buying a laptop, or the consumer will do research about the features of several brands. So, yan, ito yung ginawa natin bago tayo bumili ng gadgets, because that is one time, big time. Ibig sabihin, bibili ka ngayon tapos masusundan pa sa mga susunod pa na taon. So, para magkaroon tayo ng magandang produkto na gagamitin, ayan, ginagamitan natin ito ng attitude na cognitive. So, again, cognitive, it's about getting information. Ito po ba ay makakatulong? Ito po ba ay magiging sasapat doon sa requirements na kakailanganin ko para ako ay makapag-aral or para ako ay makapagtrabaho? And also, we have the effective. So once we talk about effective, this is deals with feeling or emotional reaction. So this is the consumer listen to the experience of others who bought from the stores and make decision afterward. So ito lahat naman siguro ginagawa ito before we add to cart. Ano naman mga online shopping dyan, tinitingnan muna natin yung reviews. Okay, that is what we call effective attitudes. Okay, so by reading the reviews, pag walang bumili, so somehow yung attitude mo ay parang hindi okay yung product kasi walang nagtiwala. Kaya ang ginagawa natin, we filtered. Okay, we filtered para po makita natin kung ano yung mas madaming bumili, kung ano yung mas marami ang nakakuha ng 5 stars, mga ganyan. Next is the learning. So in learning, this refers to immediate or expected changes in consumer behavior as a result of experience. So since we already experienced buying a certain product, so nagkakaroon tayo ng knowledge about this product, if sooner or later, bibilin pa ba natin yung same brand or hindi na. And then the last is the self-concept. In here, this is the multi-phase view of ourselves plays an important role in our consumers' behavior. And self-concept, yan, tinutugma natin, okay, lahat ng factors in buying, no? Or chine-check natin kung ito ba ay hindi lang pasok doon sa needs mo, hindi lang pasok sa perception mo, even doon sa actual buying ng produktong ito or yung produktong binibili natin. Now, let's talk about the consumer decision process. Okay, so as you can see, we have here the two determinants, which I already talked about this, which are the interpersonal and also the personal determinant. So let's have a recap. In terms of interpersonal, we have the cultural, social, and family. In terms of personal, we have the needs and motives, perception, attitude, learning, and the self-concept. Now, let's go with the consumer decision process. So in decision process, we have here the problem, opportunity recognition, search, evaluation, purchase decision, purchase act, post-purchase evaluation. And then it also have the feedback. Now, in problem opportunity recognition, so in here, the consumer becomes aware of a gap between the existing situation and desired situation. Basically, he wants to satisfy a needs or a want. So, again, bakit tayo bibili? Because this is the thing that perhaps it can solve our problem. For example, in the house, ano ba yung kailangan sa bahay? So, automatically, yung kailangan na yan, that is one of the problem of the consumer. So, yung kailangan na yan, para ma-address yan, okay, kailangan niyang ma-recognize na ito ay problema. So, para masolusyon na ito, kailangan niyang bumili. Next step is we have the search. In search, the consumer starts searching for information that will help them to have a better understanding about their situation and identify what will fix the issues. So, magkakaroon na siya ng tinatawag na canvassing o yung mga nagkakaroon tayo ng mga window shopping. Sinesearch natin or titignan natin kung ano yung mga possible product para po masolusyonan yung problema ni consumers. And also, at this point, the consumers frequently turns to online search and conduct researches or searches to find a solution. So, yung solution na to, yung searching is about the information of a certain product or certain service para po masolusyonan yung problema ni consumer. So, tinignan lang dito yung, like for example, sa tangible product, yung mga features, yung functions, while in terms of service, ito po ba ay magkakaroon ng kapakinabangan sa consumers when they are availing a certain type of service. And the next is the evaluation of alternative. So, once the initial information search is complete, so si consumer, nagsisimula na siyang mag-reflect kasi ito yung mga nalaman niya regarding with the product. Ito yung mga na-discover niya regarding with the services. So, this time, so si consumer, magsisimula na siyang mag-evaluate with different options. Okay? Or kung ano man yung pinaka magiging determinants niya in choosing the best solution to their problem. And for the fourth one is the purchase decision. So, dito nagkakaroon na tayo ng consumer na ready na siya or trigger na siya, okay, na bumili or i-avail yung product. So, he has or the consumer have this decision of what kind of product, ano ba yung service na i-avail niya, anong klaseng brand, para nga po masolusyonan yung problema niya. So, dito nagkakaroon na tayo ng ready to purchase. Bibili na siya. And then, we also have the Purchase Act. In Purchase Act, this is the consumer decides where or from whom siya bibili ng product in terms of delivery ba, all things are related on how the product will be possessed by the consumer. It's either online or offline, bibili siya sa mall, or let's say bibili siya sa mga kakilala niya or agents. And for the sixth steps is we have the post-purchase evaluation. So, in this step, this is the path of buying is complete. Ibig sabihin, nakuha niya na yung product, na bayaran niya, nagkaroon na ng exchange of product and money. So, the consumer has made a purchase, but that doesn't mean the consumer journey is complete. Bakit? Kasi, meron pa siyang kailangang patunayan na yung produktong ito ay talaga namang makakaresolba doon sa problema niya. And this time, this is the consumer reflections whether yung kanyang desisyon ng pagbili ay tama ba or hindi. So, yan, nagkakaroon na tayo ng feedback. Okay ba yung product or hindi? Kulang ba yung product? Bili ulit. So, yan, yung different product na meron tayo, again, umiikot ito sa feedback. Okay, kung ano yung experience natin sa product, kung ano yung experience natin sa services, nasiyahan ba tayo, nagkulang, so babalik lang tayo doon sa process. Next is the market segmentation, targeting, and the positioning. So now, intindihin mo natin kung ano yung market. So, once we talk about market, dito mo makikita yung group of people na divided into two, which are the consumer na naghahanap ng solusyon para doon sa problem nila, at para masolusyonan nito, kailangan nilang bumila sa market. So, si market naman, they are the seller, or kung ano man yung binibenta nila, or tinatransact nila. So, again, in market, these are group of people with sufficient purchasing power, yung mga mamimili, and also authority, and willingness to buy. And now, we also have the two types of market. First is the consumer, and the second one in the industrial. So, once we talk about the consumer, so again, sila po yung mga buyer na kung saan binibili nila yung product for consumption. For example, if they're buying mobile phone or ticket o cinema ticket, or let's say, bibili sila ng magazine or kahit sa bahay, shampoos, toothpaste, ganyan. So, binibili nila ito for their own consumption. So, one of the example is yung mga sari-sari stores natin. And then, even din naman sa palengke, ganun din. Si nanay, si tatay na mamalengke, that is for the consumptions. Ang tawag sa kanila ay consumer market. And then, we also have the industrial market. So, ang pinakaiba lang nila, pag sinabi industrial market, ito yung market na kung saan it's not good for consumption. Instead, this is good for reproduction. So, how these things happen? Obviously, they are the one who are buying raw materials and then pinoproseso into final goods para po ma-offer sa market. Now, let's talk about market segmentation. So, once we talk about market segmentation, sinisegment, dinidivide natin yung total market into smaller unit. So, yung smaller unit na ito, kapag ka na-divide mo na sila, this have different groups. So, yung groups na ito, they have the so-called homogeneous needs or homogeneous wants. Now, in dividing these things, we have the four segments, which are the geographic, demographic, psychographic, and the behavioral segmentation. So, pag sinabing geographic segmentation, this is how the businesses divide an overall market into homogeneous group based on their location. So dito, it's about the consisting of creating different groups of customers based on the geographic boundaries. And also, we have here the demographic segment. In demographic segments naman, based on the definition, it consists of dividing the market through different variables such as age, gender, income. Okay, bakit? Ito po kasi ay nakakatulong para po mas lalong maintindihan ng businesses kung ano or papaano sila makakapag-provide ng service or product. It depends doon sa needs based on the demographic profile ng ating mga consumers. And also, we have the psychographic segmentation. So, in psychographic naman, this is the consist of grouping the target audience based on their behavior, lifestyle, attitude, and even the interests. And also, we have here the behavioral segmentation. So, once we talk about behavioral segmentation, this is how the businesses need to focus on a specific reaction and the way of the customers go through their purchasing processes. So, iniisa-isa, paano ba mamili ang isang teenager? Paano ba mamili ang isang mommy? Paano ba mamili ang isang single? So, this is how the businesses do their division or do their segments to the total market. Now, we also have here the process on how can we segment our total or overall market. First is the develop a relevant profile for each segment. So, in here, si business, kailangan niyang ma-identify kung ano-ano ba yung different characteristics meron si consumer. So, by identifying it, mas lalo niyang mauunawaan kung paano niya i-divide ang kanyang market. Next is forecast market potential. In here, the market segmentation and market analysis combine to produce a forecast of market potential within each segment. So, dito kasi, kinakailangan natin maintindihan kung yung produkto ba natin ay merong potential dito sa total market natin. So, by using market analysis and also through the market segmentation and the forecast probable market share. Once market potential has been estimated, a firm must forecast its probable market share. Competitors' position as targeted segments must be analyzed and a specific marketing strategy must be designed to reach this segment. So pag sinabi kasi nating market share, ito po yung kakayahan ng businesses na mapunan yung gap o mapunan yung kinakailangang supply sa market. Okay? So, bakit po? Kasi kahit po sabihin mong marami kang kakompetensya, there's a possibility na hindi kayang i-provide the competitors kung ano man yung specific needs and wants ng ating consumer. So, itong cannot supply, it's definitely part of our market share. And for the last is the select specific marketing segment. So, dito naman, through the information, through having a lot of analysis or sa dami ng forecast na kung saan it's accumulated throughout the entire market segmentation decision process. So, dito ngayon, si management, they can assess the potential for achieving company's goals and to justify committing resources in developing one or more segments. Si business kasi, hindi lang siya pwedeng mag-focus lang sa isang segment. Lalo na po kung ang kanyang product ay variety, madami. Okay, madaming industriya, maraming saklaw. So, since marami siyang variety of products or services, so yung kanyang segments ay hindi lang po iisa. Okay, it can have a multiple of segments. Next is the strategy for searching target market. So, ano-ano po ba ito? Okay, so now we have here the 4 things. First is the undifferentiated, the differentiated, the concentrated, and the micro-marketing. Unahin na po natin yung undifferentiated. So, pag sinabing undifferentiated, everyone can buy the product. Kumbaga, ito yung tinatawag natin na all walks of life. Okay? So, wala kang specific target market. So, anyone can buy your product. And also, we have the differentiated market. So, dito naman, kung kanina, you don't have the so-called target market. In here naman, sa ating differentiated, you are focusing on the several products or even the pricing or even the way you promote the product or how can you distribute the product with different marketing mix design and also to satisfy smaller segments. So, nagkakaroon ka na ng specific market. Next naman is the concentrated or niche marketing. So, kung kanina, you segment the whole market into smaller group, in here, you were going to focus on one single market segments. And then, also, we have the micro-marketing. In micro-marketing naman, we have here the local market or the individual marketing. So, pag sinabing local market, ito yung kailangan sa local. So, that is what we call micro-marketing. Example, sa inyo, sa lugar ninyo, kinakailangan ng supply ng tubig. So, nakikita mo na magkakaroon ka ng income dahil ito yung needs nila. So, let's say, meron kang mineral station. So, that is for your neighbor. So, in here, you have the so-called micro-marketing in terms of local. And then, we also have the so-called individual marketing. So, ito naman is certain for a certain person or a certain individual. Let's say, mga gamot, ganyan, na specific lang doon sa illness ni consumer or ni clients or ng patients. Next is about how can we select and executing a different strategies. Ayan. So, kinakailangan natin ang tinatawag na positioning. So, once we talk about positioning, this is not just based on the location of our company. Okay, this is how we position in the mind of our customers or sa ating mga clients. First is the category base. Ikaw ba yung product or ikaw ba yung businesses na kung saan marami kang variety to offer, marami kang flavor to offer. So that is what we call category base. Second is we have here the consumer space. So when we talk about consumer space, this is a strategy of organization or businesses that are relevant if they are selling a specific product to become more specific in their segments. So, like for example, yung mga tinatawag natin na mga branded, ayan. Let's say, sa mga sports, and we have the Nike, we have the Adidas, and so on. And also, we have the competitors-based position. So, every market naman, talagang may mga tinatawag tayo na leader brand. Okay? So, how will you be unique to others? Okay? So, that is what we call competitors by base. And next is the benefits. So, once we talk about benefits, this is how can you show to the market about the benefits of your product. So dito, ini-aim ng mga businesses na ma-convince yung mga consumers in terms of using emotional attach or emotional motives or even rational to purchase a certain product. Next is the price positioning. So in price positioning, so this is definitely how consumers save money in purchasing their product. And then, we also have the so-called attributes. So, pag sinabi naman pong attributes, this is how the consumers perceive about the uniqueness of a certain product. So, dahil si company or si business lang yung nag-offer nito, ayan. So, ang tendency, ayan, nagkakaroon ng tinatawag na attribution si consumer to purchase a product. And for the last is the prestige. Once we talk about prestige, this is a type of businesses na kung saan may mga exclusivity. Okay, so like for example, when you buy ticket, ayan, sa plane, may mga tinatawag tayong mga business class seats. And even yung mga tinatawag natin mga hotel, yan, meron tayong specific room para doon sa mga luxury kung tawagin. And thank you so much for listening.